Everyone, so this is Vision IS Current Affair of May 2023. Next topic is city. The government approved the second phase of the city investment to innovate, integrate and sustain. Innovate, integrate and sustain. City investment to innovate, integrate and sustain. City is part of a smart city. Means city or the city investment is to innovate, integrate and sustain. Innovate, integrate or sustain. And it's a sub-component of the Government of India Smart City Mission. It was launched in 2018. Cities 1.0 component of Cities 1.0 is 12 city level project capacity development activities in the state of Odisha, promoting integrated urban management. 12 city level project capacity development activities in the state of Odisha, promoting integrated urban management at the national level. Smart City, it is an urban renewal and retrofitting program launched in 2015. It aims to develop the smart cities and make them citizen and friendly and sustainable. Smart city, citizen friendly, sustainable. The Ministry of Urban Development is responsible for implementing the mission in collaboration with the state government. थीमेटिक फोकस एरियाज़ की बात करें तो सस्टेनेबल मोबिलिटी होनी चाहिए, ओपन पब्लिक स्पेसेस होने चाहिए, अर्बन ई गवर्नेंस और आईसीटी, सोशल इनोवेशन, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड लो इनकम सेटलमेंट. सिटीज जॉइंट प्रोग्राम ऑफ द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हाउसिंग एंड अर्बन डेवलपमेंट एजेंसी फ्रेंचाइज डेवलपमेंट करेंट स्टार्ट फॉर विरो, मतलब एक जर्मनी की एसोसिएशन है, यूरोपियन यूनियन एंड द नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ अर्बन. द प्रोग्राम इज बीइंग कोऑर्डिनेटेड एंड मैनेज बाय द प्रोग्राम मैनेजमेंट यूनिट PMU ऑफ द नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ अर्बन अफेयर. प्रोग्राम नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट किसका, अर्बन अफेयर. ये कहाँ पर है, अर्बन अफेयर न्यू दिल्ली में. इसका प्रोग्राम मैनेजमेंट यूनिट है. एम्स ऑफ द प्रोग्राम सिटी को सेलेक्ट करना. द प्रोग्राम इज सेलेक्टेड सिटी टू डेवलप एंड इम्प्लीमेंट and innovative sustainable urban infrastructure project. Holistic approach. The selected projects will improve sustainability, mobility, increase the amount of public open spaces, implement ICT measures to improve e-governance, introduce social and the organizational innovation in the low income settlement. Support diversity. The selected cities receive financial support, technical expertise, capacity building to implement their project successfully. And the selected cities हैं वो receive करता है financial support. The selected cities receive financial support, technical expertise. The selected cities है that will receive financial support, technical expertise, capacity building to implement their project successfully. Support diversity. Selected cities receive financial support, technical expertise and capacity building to implement their project successfully. Phase 2 of the cities 2.0 additional objective. The program ministry is supporting a competitively selected project, promoting competitively selected projects, support करना, promoting a circular economy with focus on integrated waste management at the city level, climate oriented reform action at the state level, institutional strengthening and knowledge dissemination at the national level. Number of cities implemented in 18 cities settled based on competition. Institutional climate oriented reform, institutional strengthening and knowledge dissemination. A loan of rupees 1760 crore from the AFD and the W Germany वाली technical assistance grant of rupees. इस technical assistance grant कौन दे रहा है, यूरोपियन यूनियन, 106 करोड़ का. 3 major command financial support technical for cities to develop. Financial देंगे, technical support to support cities to develop project on climate resilience with a focus on integrated waste management. All state and utilities will be eligible for the support on demand basis. Intervention at all railway center, state, city to further climate at governance in urban in India. Surplus transfer by RBI to transfer 87,460 crore as surplus to the union government for 2023-22. This is a 188% jump from the 2021-22 surplus transfer of rupees 3,360 crore. Reason for rise in surplus this year includes the higher earning on sale of forex, better surplus transfer by RBI. यूनियन गवर्नमेंट को कितना दे रही, 87,000. ओके, ये 188% जंप है, जो कि पिछली बार 2021-22 में दिया था 30,000, अब की बार दे रहे 87,000. ओ गॉड, ये तो बहुत ज़्यादा है, डबल से भी हो जाता है. सो रीजन फॉर राइज इन सप्लाई दिस इंक्लूड द हायर अर्निंग ऑन सेल ऑफ फॉरेक्स को बेचा जाता रहता है. बेटर रिटर्न ऑन फॉरेक्स इन्वेस्टमेंट इन US रिजर्व, बेटर रिटर्न ऑन फॉरेक्स रिजर्व जो वहाँ पे US ट्रेस में रीवैल्यूएशन ऑफ फॉरेक्स एडजस्टमेंट इन रिजर्व एज पर द जलान कमेटी रिकमेंडेशन. As RBI is not required to pay income tax, it transfer the surplus amount to government in accordance with the Section 47 of the RBI Act of 1934. RBI's total expenditure is significantly lower than its total net interest as the income they were generating surplus. Earlier, RBI used to keep a major chunk of the surplus for its contingency fund or the asset development fund. However, after Malagam Committee आई थी 2013 में recommendation and later under the revised economic capital framework 2014 पर बिमल रिवाइज इकोनॉमिक कैपिटल फ्रेमवर्क जलान कमेटी पहले मलेगन 2013 में 2014-15 में आई थी. Bimal Committee is transfer of surplus to government increase. Benefit of transferring surplus: maintain fiscal deficit target, keeping interest rate low, help government to counter Interest low help government to counter shortfall in revenue and tax collection. Concern raised against the transferring surplus. Need for the adequate contingency fund with RBI to tackle potential threat from the financial shock, maintaining autonomy of the RBI, etc. RBI surplus transfer to the central government. Rupees 2000 note withdrawn from circulation. RBI decided to withdraw rupees 2000 denomination banknote from circulation, but existing note will continue to be a legal tender. Existing rupees 2000 note can be deposited or exchanged up to the limit of rupees 20,000 at a time and it can be until 30 September 2023. Non-account holder can also exchange at any bank branch. Deposit into bank account can be made without restriction, subject to compliance with existing KYC norm and other applicable statutory and regulatory requirement. Reason for withdrawal: Rupees 2000 note was introduced in 2016 under the Section 24 of the RBI Act of 1934 to meet the currency. कब 2016 में कब सेक्शन 24 ऑफ द RBI Act of 1934 47 पढ़ा सेक्शन 47 सेक्शन 24 to meet currency requirement of economically explicitly after demonetization of rupees 500 and 1000 note. Once notes of other denomination were available in adequate quantity, printing of rupees 2000 was stopped in 2018. This denomination is no longer commonly used for transaction. Withdrawal is part of the RBI's clean note policy, currency management operations of RBI. Clean note policy, currency management. Clean note policy introduced in 1999 seeks to provide public good quality currency note coins with better security feature. Note catching good quality coins with better security feature, while soil notes are withdrawn out of circulation. Legal tender. It refers to the specific subset of currency that hold legal recognition as a legitimate payment method. It can be limited or unlimited in character. In India, coins function as a limited at legal tender, whereas currency notes are unlimited legal tender. Coins and can be limited or unlimited in character. In India, coins function as limited, currency as unlimited. Report on the currency and the finance and for 2022. RBI released the currency report on currency and finance for 2022. Report examines the macro financial implication of the climate change for India. Macroeconomic impact of climate change in India could lose anyone around 3 to 10% of its GDP annually by 2100. Could lose anywhere around 3 to 10% of its GDP annually by 21 due to the climate change. Could account for 34 million of the projected 80 million global job loss from heat stress associated productivity decline by 2030. A report on currency and the currency and finance report. Okay, report examines the macro financial implication of the climate change for India. Macroeconomic impact of climate change in India could lose anywhere around 3 to 10% of its GDP annually by 21st century due to climate change. Could account for 34 million of the projected 80 million global job loss from heat stress associated productivity decline by 2030. Up to 4.5% of GDP could be at risk by the due to lost labor hours from extreme heat and humidity condition. 4.5 GDP. 34 million could account for 34 million projected to 80 million global job loss. Wasted could lose anywhere around 3 to 10% of GDP annually by 21st century due to climate change. Climate change. RBI loans for regeneration of the renewable energy in the public unit run on the non-conventional energy under the conventional loans for regeneration of renewable energy, non-conventional energy under the private sector lending joint network for greening the financial system that aims to strengthen the global response for meeting Paris Agreement goal. Issued foreign green bond, sovereign green bond for the green infrastructure investment. Release framework for mobilizing green deposit by regulating entities. Framework for mobilizing green deposit by regulated entities. Green deposit by regulated entities. Climate change and financial sector. Public sector banks are more prone to climate at risk than their private sector counterpart and may face capital shortfalls. Annual green financing requirement would be 2.5% GDP to address the infrastructure gap caused by the climate event. Policy option to mitigate climate change. Physical policy initiative. Carbon pricing using carbon taxes. Carbon pricing using carbon tax लगाना है. Emission trading system. Green taxonomy to identify sustainable green assets and activities. Technology adoption. Targeted research and development. Investment by government. Addressing variability in the wind and the solar power supply. Developing an indigenous renewable supply chain. Monetary policy. Higher use of the central bank digital currency can help lower the carbon footprint, lower marginal requirement for sovereign green bond when used as collateral. Increase in gold holding. RBI and other central banks are ramping up gold holdings in 25. Those other central banks have been net buyers of the gold on an annual basis. India is among the 10 largest official buyers of gold from 1999 to end 2021. RBI's gold reserve touched 794 metric ton in fiscal 2023, an increase of nearly 5% over the fiscal 2005. Reason for increase in holding: to balance foreign exchange reserve. Gold is used to manage risk from currency holding and to promote stability during economic turmoil. Gold is used to manage risk from currency holding and to promote stability during economic turmoil. Gold offers a hedge against the eroding value of the currency due to the inflation. तो बैलेंस फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व, hedging against the fiat currencies, diversifying portfolios. It protects the central bank from the volatility as the gold price has an inverse correlation with the US dollar. This increase in holding trend is different from the 1990s and early 20s when the central banks were net sellers of the gold because of the reason like good macroeconomic condition and a downward trend in gold prices. RBI and the central bank is ramping up gold holding. Since the central banks have been net buyers of the gold on an annual basis. India is among the 10 largest official buyer of gold. RBI's gold reserve is 794.64 metric ton. कितना 794 10 among ton है. Net buyers of gold and with 10% to balance the foreign exchange reserve, hedging and the fiat currency, diversifying portfolio. As gold prices in inverse correlation with the US dollar, the increase in holding trend is different from the 1990 when central banks were net seller of gold because of reason like good उस टाइम पे क्यों सेलर था, good macroeconomic condition और प्राइस भी कम था. Due to strong economic growth, gold safe haven properties were less valuable and low returns made it unattractive as an investment. Less low return है and gold safe haven property were less valuable. Okay, central bank attitude towards the gold started changing following 1997 financial crisis, 2004 financial crisis. Asian में 1997. Components of RBI's forex है foreign currency asset है, gold है, special drawing rights है and reserve position in IMF. RBI's gold reserve. Bank of India's total gold reserve has reached a new to around 800 ton. RBI constantly increases gold holding for past 5 fiscal years. This was done to better and diversify its reserves amid the rising global economic uncertainty and geopolitical tension. कैसी है geopolitical tension चल रहा है, economic uncertainty है, which threaten to diminish the value of the world's reserve currency, the dollar. उसकी वैल्यू थोड़ी कम हो जाएगी. तो ग्लोबल फॉरेक्स रिजर्व हेल्प बाय द सेंट्रल बैंक comprise of currencies like dollar, euro, pound, the currency gold, MS currency quotas called special drawing, expected credit losses. Banks have sought a 1-year extension from RBI for implementation of the expected credit loss based loan on loss provisioning framework. In January 2023, RBI came out with draft guidelines proposing adoption of the expected credit loss approach for credit impairment. As per the draft guideline, banks will be given 1-year period after release of the financial guideline to implement expected credit loss approach for loss provisioning currency. Currently, banks are required to make loan loss provisions based on incurred loss approach. Under this, bank need to provide for losses that have occurred or incurred. Expected credit loss is a method to assess and estimate the losses on credit given and by bank before an asset turns bank. Under expected credit loss, non-banks will be required to classify financial asset into one of the following 3 categories. Financial 3 categories. पहला है stage 1, financial assets that have not had significant increase in credit risk or with low credit risk at reporting date. Financial instruments that have had a significant increase in credit risk. कोई भी credit risk नहीं है और अगर है significant increase in credit risk but that don't have objective evidence of impairment. Financial assets that have objective evidence of impairment at reporting date. In the Ministry of Finance proposed changes in the angel tax and also notified foreign entities which will be exempted from the tax provision. Angel tax was introduced in 2012, refers to tax levied on the capital raised by the unlisted company. Angel tax, Ministry of Finance proposed changes in angel taxation. Okay, and also notified foreign entities which will be exempted from the tax provision. Angel tax 2012 में लगा था, refers to tax levied on capital raised by the unlisted company. Objective was to deter generation and use of unaccounted money through subscription of shares of a closely held company at a value which is higher than the fair market value. Prior to 2023 budget proposal, angel tax provision were applicable only for investment received from resident investors. However, Financial Bill 2023 is now extended its applicability to non-resident investors as well. Data generation and use of unaccounted money through subscription of share of a closely held company at a value which is higher than the fair market value. Protection Link Incentive 2.0 for IT Hardware Scheme. Ministry meeting notified Protection Incentive 2.0 for IT Hardware Scheme. Protection and Incentive Scheme 2.0 for IT approved by the government for enhancing the India's manufacturing capabilities and enhancing the export. Manufacturing बढ़ाना, export बनाना. PLI 2.0 for IT hardware was launched in 2000. India's share in the global electronic manufacturing has grown from 1.2% to 3.75%. Objective proposed a financial incentive to boost the domestic manufacturing and attract the large investment in the value. Financial incentive देंगे जिससे कि domestic manufacturing हो पाए. Financial incentive मिलेगा and attract large investment in the value chain. Target segment laptop, tablet, all-in-one PCs, servers and the ultra small farm sector. Farm factor. Ultra small laptop, tablet, all-in-one PC, server, ultra small form factor. Support shall be provided for a period of 6 years, budget rupees 70,000 crore. It shall be applicable on net incremental sale of manufactured good over base year financial year 2022, subject to ceiling of 4,500 crore for global companies, 2,250 crore for hybrid और global और domestic दोनों ही हैं, 500 crore for domestic एक companies. Expected benefit of the scheme: total production of the above or total production of about 3.35 lakh crore bringing an additional investment. Total production कितना होगा? 335 लाख करोड़ का. 3.35 lakh crore additional investment of 2,430 crore in electronics manufacturing will lead to generation of 75,000 additional direct job. विवाद से विश्वास scheme, Ministry of Finance has launched the scheme. Finance विवाद से विश्वास providing the relief to MSME for COVID-19 period. Scheme was announced in June 2023-24. It was 23-24. विवाद से विश्वास 23-24. It was launched by the Department of Expenditure Ministry and Ministry of Finance. Under it, ministries will refund the performance security, bid security, liquidity damages, forfeited deduction directed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Assistance to medical devices cluster for the common facility scheme. Scheme was launched with an aim to strengthen the medical device cluster by providing financial assistance. Scheme was launched with an aim to strengthen the medical device clusters. Launched with an aim to strengthen the medical device cluster by providing financial assistance and to strengthen and establish more testing laboratories for medical devices. Indian ST is currently the fourth largest सबसे पहले एशियन मेडिकल डिवाइस मार्केट में सबसे पहले जापान आता है, जापान के बाद चाइना के बाद साउथ कोरिया, जापान, चाइना, साउथ कोरिया, फिर इंडिया. However, it is significant presence of several multinational companies with about 75 to 80% of the sales generated from the imported medical devices. Scheme is under Department of Pharmaceutical, Ministry of Chemicals and the Fertilizer. Tenure of the 2023-24 से 2026-27 तक लेंगे. Scheme of the component assistance for the common facilities to strengthen medical device cluster capacity for their sustained growth and creating common infrastructure facility. Limit of support will be 70% of the approved project cost or rupees 20 crore, whichever is less. तो 20 करोड़ देंगे जो 70% cost. For Himalayan and North East region, granted aid would be rupees 20 crore per cluster or 90% of the project cost, whichever is less. 75% to strengthen assistance for testing facility to strengthen availability of the more medical device testing laboratory in order to boost manufacturing of the quality medical. Limit of support will be 70% of the approved testing project or rupees 5 crore. For Himalayan North 5 crore or 90%. E-appeal scheme. Central Board of Direct Taxes has notified an e-CBRI. Central Board of Direct Taxes has e-appeal scheme to reduce pendency of appeals at the level of the Income Tax Commissioner. Aggrieved SEC can appeal certain orders before Joint Commissioner appeals passed by an assessing officer below the rank of the Joint Commissioner. A person shall not be required to appear either personally or through the authorized representatives in connection with the proceeding under the scheme. Appellant can, however, request a personal hearing, which would be done through video conferencing or video telephony. Interstate transmission system charge. Ministry of Power waived the interstate transmission charges to on offshore wind, green hydrogen, ammonia project for rupees 25 year. Ministry of Power waives interstate transmission system charges. Ministry of Power ने waive क्या interstate transmission system charges on offshore wind and offshore green hydrogen ammonia project for 25 year. Complete waiver of state charges have been given for offshore wind power project commission on or before 31 December 2032 for 25 year from date of commissioning. However, project commission from the 1 January 2033 would be given graded IST charges. Complete waiver for the green hydrogen green ammonia production unit. It using renewable energy pump storage system or battery storage system or any hybrid combination project commission on or before 31 January 2023. और वो कितना है 2031 32 ओके 32 आफ्टर दिसंबर विल अट्रैक्ट द ग्रेडेड ट्रांसमिशन चाहे 2031 to 30. Earlier government had ordered the waiver of the IST charges on transmission of electricity generated from the new hydropower project. Significance to waive IST charge facilitated wider execution of offshore wind energy, promote expansion of the green hydrogen green ammonia, encourage offtake of renewable energy from energy storage system. Offshore wind power. Okay. Offshore wind power is the use of the wind farm concentrated in bodies of the water. Is the use of wind farms concentrated in bodies of water, usually in ocean or continental shelf, to harvest wind energy to generate electricity. To green hydrogen and hydrogen produced from water using renewable energy source. Green ammonia is a derivative of green hydrogen and is used as energy in transport and the storage vector shipping fuel. ये ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन का एक डेरिवेटिव है, यूज एज एनर्जी इन ट्रांसपोर्ट में भी यूज़ करते हैं, स्टोरेज टाइप में, shipping fuel and as a fertilizer. Ease of doing business in telecom and the broadcasting sector. Telecom Regulatory Authority of India released a recommendation of the ease on doing business in the telecom broadcasting sector. India is by the world's second largest telecommunication market with 117 crore subscribers, 117 crore subscriber and 70 crore active internet user है. 117 crore subscribers, 70 crore user. Ease of doing business refer to the level of the simplicity, efficiency, transparency of regulation and procedure in a country that affects the business ability to operate, start and grow. ईज ऑफ डूइंग कितनी सिंप्लिसिटी है, कितना एफिशिएंसी है, ट्रांसपेरेंसी है एंड ऑफ रेगुलेशंस एंड प्रोसीजर इन अ कंट्री दैट अफेक्ट बिजनेस एबिलिटी टू ऑपरेट start, and grow. It seeks to streamline existing regulation by simplifying the life cycle of a business and create an investor-friendly ecosystem by replacing redundant regulation procedure with simple and the transparent rules. Major recommendation: all the concerned ministries, departments should adopt a user-friendly, transparent, responsive, digital, single window system. Each ministry should establish a standing ease of doing business committee to regularly review all activities. Okay, infrastructure status should be granted to broadcasting and cable service sector. Permission of laying, operation and maintenance of submarine cable network should be made online as part of the Saral Sanchar. Need to define the term domestic and the international traffic under the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India Act 1997, which has not been defined in and unified licensee. Telecom Regulatory Authority of India is a statutory body established under the ये statutory body है. Need to define the term domestic traffic and international traffic under the TRAI Act of 1997, which has not been defined in unified license. TRAI एक statutory body है, the TRAI Act of 1997 to regulate the telecom service in India. Okay. Ministry One Nation One Product scheme. Ministry of Railway has launched the One Station One Product scheme over Indian Railway to promote the vocal for local vision and create additional income opportunity for marginalized section. Under the scheme, One Station One Product scheme outlets a railway station allotted for showcasing, selling and giving high visibility to indigenous and local products. One station, yes, allotted से showcase करो फिर बेचो and giving high visibility. These one station one product stalls are designed by the National Design Institute for Uniformity. One station one product is specific to that place and include artifacts made by the indigenous tribes, handlooms by local VI Center for the processing, and CPACE, Center for Processing Accelerated Corporate Access. CPACE by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is established for providing hassle-free filing, timely and the process-bound tracking of companies from MCA register. CPACE will help to reduce the stress on the registry along with keeping the registry clean beside availability of more meaningful data to the stakeholders. Center is situated at the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs in Manesar, Haryana. At the Indian Center is situated at the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs at Manesar, Haryana. CPACE Center for Processing. CPACE Center for Processing. Center for Processing Accelerated Corporate. Center for Processing Accelerated Corporate Access. Ministry of Corporate Affairs, hassle-free filing, timely process-bound tracking of companies from MCA register. CPACE will help to reduce the stress on the registry along with keeping the registry clean beside availability of more meaningful data to the stakeholder. Center is situated at the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs in Manesar, Haryana. Harit Sagar the Green Port Guideline 2023. Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways have launched Harit Sagar the Green Port Guideline 2023. Harit Sagar Guideline envisages ecosystem dynamics in port development, operation and maintenance. Harit Sagar Guideline. Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways launched Harit Sagar the Green Port Guideline 2023. Harit Sagar Guideline 2023 envisages ecosystem dynamics in port development, operation, maintenance, aligning with working with nature concept, minimizing impact on battery components of harbor ecosystem. It lays emphasis on use of clean energy, green energy. Ministry Harit Sagar Port, Shipping and Waterways Harit Sagar Green Port Guideline 2023 जैसे इकोसिस्टम डायनामिक्स इन पोर्ट डेवलप करो, ऑपरेट करो, मेंटेन करो, वर्किंग विद नेचर कॉन्सेप्ट, मिनिमाइजिंग इम्पैक्ट ऑन बायोटिक कंपनी और हार्बर इकोसिस्टम के लिए यूज ऑफ क्लीन एनर्जी और ग्रीन एनर्जी इन पोर्ट ऑपरेशन, डेवलपिंग पोर्ट कैपेबिलिटीज फॉर स्टोरेज, हैंडलिंग एंड बंकरिंग ग्रीन फ्यूल, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन, ग्रीन अमोनिया, ग्रीन मेथनॉल एक्सेट्रा. हाइलाइट्स ऑफ द करंट पोर्ट मस्ट बी एटलीस्ट 60% ऑफ द इलेक्ट्रिसिटी नीड बाय द रिन्यूएबल बाय 2030 और 90% बाय 2047. मतलब 2030 तक 60% जो है ग्रीन एनर्जी यूज होनी चाहिए रिन्यूएबल के साथ और 2047 तक 97 तक. पोर्ट मस्ट हैव एटलीस्ट वन एलएनजी बंकरिंग स्टेशन बाय 2030. सेटिंग अप इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल चार्जिंग स्टेशन इन एंड अराउंड द पोर्ट बाय 2025. प्रोविजनिंग फॉर अडॉप्टिंग द ग्लोबल ग्रीन रिपोर्टिंग इनिशिएटिव स्टैंडर्ड aspect of the national green hydrogen pertaining to port. Significance of guideline to achieve the zero carbon emission goal, minimizing impact on battery component, achieving sustainable development goal, promoting environment friendly practices across all port. Green Port Initiative project Green Port with the two vertical Green Port Initiative Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, National Center for Excellence, National Center of Excellence for Green Port and Shipping. Pilot project in India under the IMO Green Voyage 2050 project. In India under the IMO Green Voyage 2050 project. Draft Green Port Policy. Jawaharlal Nehru Port. According to World Bank Logistic Performance Index 2023, Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority has a turnaround time of just 22 hours, putting India among the top performers. Around time of sale refers to the time vessel depot at the anchorage of a port to the time it sails out from the berth. Jawaharlal Nehru Port at Navi may account for around 50% of the total containerized cargo volume across the major port of India. And the Ojabai Jawanadu port has become the first major port of the country to become 100% landlocked, port having all berths being operated on a PPP model. NEMEX, WTI crude oil and the natural gas futures contract. National Stock Exchange launched the rupee-denominated NEMEX. National Stock Exchange rupee-denominated NEMEX. WTI crude oil natural gas future contracts in this commodity derivative segment. It expands the National Stock Exchange products offering in the energy market and overall commodity segment. Future contracts is a legal agreement to buy or sell a particular commodity asset or security at a predetermined price at a specified time in the future. And commodity derivatives are investment vehicles allowing investors to reap profit by investing in commodities without owning them. It will invest without owning, reap profit by investing in commodities without owning them. Commodities are investment vehicles allowing investors to reap profit by investing in commodities without owning them. It will enhance trading in the commodity and energy market. Competition in the market is set to rise, which will ultimately benefit the retail traders and investors. It will also be suitable for the foreign portfolio investor to get benefits of the margin collateral from their cash holding in national stock exchange to trade in these commodity. Foreign portfolio investors endeavor the purchase and holding of a wide array of foreign financial by investors seeking to invest in a country outside their own. National Stock Exchange of India 1992 is India's largest financial market and fourth largest market by trading volume. India की largest financial market and fourth largest market in the world by trading volume. West Texas Intermediate is a very light sweet crude oil. West Texas Intermediate ये हल्की sweet crude oil extracted from the wells in the USA that serve as one of the main global oil benchmark. West Texas Intermediate. Other two benchmarks are Brent crude and Dubai Oman. Other two benchmarks are Brent crude and Dubai Oman. Future of Job Report 2023 बड़ी इकोनॉमिक फोरम फ्यूचर ऑफ जॉब रिपोर्ट 2023 फोर्थ एडिशन पहला 2016 में आया था. ऑफ दिस बायएनुअल सीरीज एक्सप्लोर्स how jobs and skills will evolve over the next 5 years 2023 से 27. It tracks the labor market impact of the fourth industrial revolution, चौथा industrial revolution, green in transition and energy transition, supply chain shift. It caters to business information include the technology adoption following by the rising cost of living, slow economic growth and green transition. ग्रीन ट्रांजिशन हो रहा है, इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ स्लो है, कॉस्ट ऑफ लिविंग बढ़ी जा रही है. टेक्नोलॉजी में 44% of workers skill will reduce within the next 5 years. 61% Indian companies think broader application of the ESG standard will drive job growth following by the increase adoption of the new technology and broadening the digital access. 23% of the job in the next 5 years expected to change. The strongest net job creation effect is driven by the green transition. Net job creation, green transition, broader application of the ESG standard, localization of supply chain, key drivers of net job destruction and are slower economic growth, supply shortages, rising cost of living, rising cost of living for the consumer, barrier to the business transformation. 2023 से 27 skill gap in the labor, local skill gaps in the local labor market, inability to attract talent, barrier to business transformation है. पहले skill gap है, inability to attract talent, outdated inflexible regulatory framework, shortage of investment capital. workforce strategy 2023 से 27. Invest in learning and training on job. We have to invest in learning and training on job, accelerate automation of the process. Learning and training, automation of process, expand use of contract work, hire significantly more permanent staff, accelerate automation of process, invest in learning, training, automation, expand use of contract work, hire significantly more permanent staff. Top 10 skills of the analytical thinking, creative thinking, technology literacy, dependability and attention to detail, resilience, flexibility, agility, motivation, self-awareness, curiosity, lifelong learning, quality control, leadership and social influence, empathy and active listening. Dependability and attention to detail, empathy and active listening. Okay. So topic here. Just wait a second. Okay. Next is security. International terrorism. Indian Defense Minister has called on the Shanghai Cooperation Organization to eliminate terrorism and hold those who aid it accountable. Loss of life, property, fears or generator can distort public debates, empower political extremes, polarize societies. Allocation of limits of government resources towards the counter-terrorism as the loss of business either due to real or the perceived threat. Okay, India has a national commitment to fight the evil of the terrorism in all its forms, and manifestation of terrorism is by its very nature an application of a transnational criminal act. Therefore, India uses the global platform to emphasize transnational. The global platform use करना पड़ता है to emphasize that zero tolerance to all acts of terror should be the guiding approach in shaping the global counter-terror architecture. Terrorism is a forceful, unlawful method to achieve the desired goal that affects almost every sphere of human life, be it economic, political, social. In Boston, terrorism is the antithesis of independence, rendering it meaningless. Factors that cause terrorism: ideological cause. Radical ideology, often driven by the religious belief or the political belief, can motivate individuals to engage in terrorism. Three of the most visible extreme main ideologies are left wing, right wing, left wing communalism, right wing capitalism. Religious ideology, ethno-nationalism and separatism. Ethnic or the nationalist aspiration for self-determination. Ethnic aspiration or nationalist aspiration for self-determination can sometimes lead to terrorism. Separatist movement seeking independence or autonomy for particular ethnic or the national group may resort to violence as a strategy to achieve their goal. Globalization facilitates terrorism through increased mobility, communication, and the availability of the widespread targets and audiences due to the societal change brought about by modernization. Terrorism as a foreign policy. Terrorism has come to be an alternative to war amongst the adversarial state because the modern war has become too expensive and terrorism has come to be an alternative to war amongst the adversarial state because the modern war has become too expensive due to its war terrorism has come to an alternative to war amongst the adversarial state because the modern war has become too expensive due to its war destructive nature and the unpredictable outcome. For example, Pakistan benefited from Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Osama bin relationship as Laden's camp trained fighters for Pakistan ongoing struggle with India over Kashmir. Poor societies with weak state structure, these are more exposed to civil wars than wealthier countries. And therefore the risk of terrorism increases. International injustice, when individual or the group perceive injustice on a global scale, such as economic inequality है, political repression है, economic है, political repression है, dominance of certain power, it can fuel feeling of desire for revenge. An example of the international injustice and its link to terrorism on a global scale is the rise of the extremist group like ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Global Initiative to Counter Terrorism, United Nations Global Counter Terrorism Strategy adopted in the form of General Assembly Resolution in 2006. It is a unique global instrument that aims to enhance the national, regional, and international effort to counter terrorism. It consists of 4 pillars. UNSC Counter Terrorism Committee. It is tasked with monitoring implementation of Resolution 1373/2008. Measures to address the condition to the spread of terrorism. Measures to prevent and combat terrorism. Measures to prevent and combat terrorism. Measures to build state capacity to prevent and combat terrorism and to strengthen the role of the Union in this regard. Measures to ensure respect for human rights for all and the rule of law. Human rights, rule of law as the fundamental basis of the fight against terrorism. Measures to address the condition conducive to the spread of terrorism. Measures to prevent and combat terrorism. Measures to address the condition conducive to the spread of terrorism. Measure to address the condition conducive. 4 pillars of the global counter terrorism strategy. As the condition conducive spread of terrorism. Measure to condition क्या है, then अगर पता चल गई तो measure क्या measure to prevent and combat terrorism. Measure to build state capacity to prevent and combat terrorism and to strengthen the role of the Union in this regard. Measure to ensure respect for human rights for all and rule of law as the fundamental basis of the human fight against the rule of law, human rights resolution. Okay. UNSC Counter Terrorism 1373/2008. The region requested the countries to implement measures to enhance the ability to counter terrorist activities at home, in their region and around the world. Global Counter Terrorism Forum, India इसका member है. ये एक formal है नहीं, informal है. Political multilateral platform that facilitates open discussion among stakeholders, bringing together experts and practitioners from across the world. United Nations Countering Terrorism Level Program. It is a flagship global initiative of the United Nations Office of Counter United Nations Countering Terrorist Travel Program that assists member states in building their capabilities to detect and counter terrorists. This is achieved by using international data sets like Interpol database. Financial Action Task Force. It is the international standard setter for Financial Action Task Force. It is the international standard setter for anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism to build and implement the international standards in this regard. SEO Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure. It developed and strengthened the cooperation with international and the regional organizations to consolidate efforts towards the counter-terrorism. SEO Financial Action International Standard Setter for Anti-Money Laundering, countering the financing of terrorism. Okay. In the Counting Terrorist Travel Program, flagship global initiative of the United Nations Office of UN Office of Counter-Terrorism, the assists member states in building the capability to detect and counter terrorists, achieved by using international databases like Interpol database. SU regional anti-terrorist structure, it develops and strengthens the cooperation with international and the regional organizations to consolidate effort toward the counter-terrorism, separatism and extremism. Global Terrorism Index. It is produced by the Institute for Economic and Peace. It is a comprehensive study analyzing the impact of terrorism to better understand and guide required policy responses. Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. It intends to criminalize all forms of international terrorism, denial of safe haven, access to funds and arms to terrorists, and the financiers of terrorism. Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. Index produced by the Institute Terrorism Index. It is produced by the Institute for Economic and Peace. Institute for Economic and Peace, a comprehensive study analyzing the impact of terrorism to better understand and guide the required policy response. Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism is intended to criminalize all forms of the international terrorism, denial of safe haven, access to funds and arms to terrorists, and the financial of terrorism. It is proposed by India on 17 December. Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, the intent to criminalize all forms of international terrorism, denial of safe haven, access to funds and arms to terrorists, financing of terrorism. It is proposed by India on 17 December 1996 by the United Nations General Assembly. Okay, challenges to counter international terrorism. Ambiguity around the definition of terrorism. There is no international agreed definition of terrorism. This results in the overly broad and the vague definition of terrorism in the national legislation around the globe. Lack of comprehensive legal framework. The international legal framework related to the terrorism is not consolidated in a comprehensive UN treaty. It is instead found in various sources such as the Treaty, Security Council and General Assembly resolution and jurisprudence. Inadequate domestic capacity. कोई कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव लीगल फ्रेमवर्क नहीं है, कोई प्रॉपर डेफिनेशन नहीं है. फाउंड इन वेरियस सोर्सेज treaties, Security Council, General Assembly. Inadequate domestic capacity. Terrorist crime fall in the category of the national criminal law. Without adequate domestic capacity to discharge the duty, counter-terrorism efforts remain ineffective. Restriction of the civic freedom. 2019 Human Rights Council report has shown how counter-terrorism measures adversely impact the civic space, widening the right of the civil society actors and the human rights defenders. Terrorism financing, effectively countering the financing of terrorism presents numerous news and the persistent challenges for state. Domestic policy initiative by India towards the counter-terrorism. Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967 provides for the more effective prevention of the certain and unlawful activities of individual and association. Establishment of the National Investigation Agency, which is functioning as a central counter-terrorism law enforcement agency in a country. National Intelligence Grid on the NAT grid that aims to provide a cutting-edge technology to enhance the India's National Intelligence Grid. Okay, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. Individual and association. National Investigation Agency (NIA) functioning under the Central Counter-Terrorism Law Enforcement Agency. Central Counter-Terrorism. National Intelligence Grid or NAT grid that aims to provide a cutting-edge technology to enhance India's counter-terror capabilities. Creation of two new divisions: Counter-Terrorism, Counter-Radicalization Division, and Cyber and Security Division. Ministry of Home Affairs to give focused attention to the issues relating to terrorism, counter-radicalization, cyber security, etc. Effective counting the financing of terrorism. Okay. Enhance state capacity to prevent and combat terrorism. Strengthen the capacity of existing institution जो अभी हैं उनकी कैपेसिटी बढ़ाना. Identify the gaps in state capacity to prevent and combat terrorism. Enhance multidisciplinary cooperation between the law enforcement agencies. Reform and modernization of the border management system. Reform and modernization of the border management system. Reform and modernization of the border management system. Reform and modernization. Strengthen the capacity of existing institutions. Identify the gaps in state capacity to prevent and combat terrorism. Enhance the multidisciplinary cooperation between law enforcement agency. Reform and modernization of the border management system. Share best practices and address gaps in providing technical assistance to state support to improve the compliance with international norms and obligations and facilitate implementation of international convention and the protocol. Provide training activities on organized crime, money laundering and drug trafficking. Improve the coherence and efficiency of the technical assistance delivery. Enhance coordination with the United Nations system. Improving international cooperation in countering terrorism. Actively promote the integration of the agendas on women, peace, security, counter-terrorism and countering violent extremism. Including a gender perspective in countering terrorism requires a focus on women and girls as victims of terrorism, women as perpetrators, facilitators and supporters of terrorism, women as agents in preventing and countering terrorism, differential impact of counter-terrorism strategies on women and the women's right, ensure protection of human right, protect human right and fundamental. Okay, actively promote the integration of women, peace and security. WPI agendas on women, peace, security, counter-terrorism, counting violent extremism. Includes agenda perspective and counter-terrorism requires a focus on women and girls as victim of terrorism, women as perpetrator, facilitator and supporter of terrorism, women as agents in preventing terrorism, differential impact of counterterrorism strategies on women and the women right, protect human rights and the fundamental freedom in the context of the counter-terrorism. Promote the idea that the respect to human rights while countering terrorism is critical to the ultimate success of any counter-terrorism strategy. Raising public awareness about the threat of terrorism, and about universal counter-terrorism instrument. Establishment of the public-private partnership between the state authorities, private sector, business, community, industry, civil society. Public-private partnership, private, civil society, media, where appropriate. The UNSC should expressly clarify that humanitarian protection assistance must never be considered as support to terrorism. अगर कोई ह्यूमैनिटेरियन प्रोटेक्शन दे रहा है या असिस्टेंस दे रहा है तो वो टेररिज्म को सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहा है. सिविल सोसाइटी मस्ट बी एंगेज फॉर डेवलपिंग द जनरेशन काउंटर टेररिज्म ड्रग मैनेज इन इंडिया रिसेंटली एटलीस्ट 2,500 kg of drugs related to methamphetamine and was seized under the Kerala coast, near the Kerala coast in a joint operation by the Narcotics Control Bureau and Indian Navy. Operation Samudragupt was launched by the Narcotics Crime Bureau in January 2022 to intercept and counter contraband that is brought into India through the marine channel. It is a part of the Union government plan to make India drug-free by 2047. NCT termed it the largest seizure of methamphetamine in the country. The seizure was done as part of the Operation Samudragupt 2022 में लॉन्च किया गया था जनवरी 2022. ड्रग फ्री 2047. Geographical location in India. Traditionally India has been as a sandwich between the golden crescent and ये गोल्डन क्रिसेंट है, ये गोल्डन ट्रायंगल है. गोल्डन क्रिसेंट में अगर ध्यान दो तो ये अफगानिस्तान ईरान आता है, ईरान के इधर आता है अफगानिस्तान, इधर आता है पाकिस्तान. और गोल्डन ट्रायंगल में अगर ध्यान दो तो ये बर्मा आता है, नीचे थाईलैंड है, लॉज है, वियतनाम है. ठीक है, बर्मा है, बर्मा थाईलैंड, नीचे थाईलैंड है, ये सेंटर में लॉज है और वियतनाम है. गोल्डन ट्रायंगल. Nearly 90% of the world's demand for this is being met for these two regions. Sea route being used. Drug trafficking through the Arabian Sea, the Bemagol estimated to account for around 70% of total illegal drug smuggled into India and poses a major challenge for the law enforcement agencies. Used the Courier Postal Service to smuggle drugs has gone up significantly in recent years, 300% in 2020 and 200% compared to 2019. Narco terror angle terror organization in Pakistan along with the ISI are actively pushing drugs through the land and sea borders. Also, organized gangs which formerly used to carry drugs transit activities in their local areas are being used for drug trafficking and gun running. Porous border. Major trafficking of heroin in India takes place through Indo-Pakistan border. Trafficking of Gaza and subsequent countries takes place across the Indo-Nepal and takes place through Indo-Pakistan border. Major trafficking of heroin in India takes place through Indo-Pakistan border. Trafficking of ganja in the substantial quantities takes place across the India-Nepal border. Major trafficking of heroin in India takes place through Indo-Pakistan border. Trafficking of ganja in substantial quantity takes place through cross Indo-Nepal border. Use of drones to supply drugs and weapons across the border in Punjab has emerged as a new porous border. Major traffic narco triangle terror organizations in Pakistan along with ISI are actively pushing drugs through the land and sea border. Also, organized crime which primarily used to carry drugs transit activities in their local areas are being used for in gun running. Porous border. Major trafficking of heroin in India takes place through Indo-Pakistan border. Trafficking of ganja in substantial quantities takes place across the Indo-Nepal border. User technology. The use of the drone to supply drugs and weapons across the border in Punjab has emerged as new phenomenon. Darknet is being used for illicit drug trafficking. Darknet markets are disrupting traditional drug market because of their anonymity and low risk. Darknet. Use of technology. The use of the drone to supply drugs and weapons across the border in Punjab has emerged as new phenomenon. Darknet is being used for illicit drug trafficking. Darknet markets are disrupting traditional drug market because of their anonymity and low risk. Cryptocurrency payment is being used for illicit drug trafficking. Use of drones to supply drugs and weapons. हम क्या यूज़ करते हैं? ड्रोन. किसके लिए? ड्रग्स एंड वेपन्स के लिए. Darknet being used for illicit drug trafficking. Darknet markets are disrupting traditional drug market because of the anonymity. Illicit is being used for illicit drug trafficking. Disrupting traditional drug market because darknet markets are disrupting traditional drug market because of the anonymity and low risk. Okay, cryptocurrency payment and roadside deliveries through courier service have made the darknet transaction attractive demand due to the contrasting economic factor. Unemployment on one hand and the availability of easy money on the other have led to the devastating rise of the substance abuse and drug addiction in northwestern state. जो नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न स्टेट है, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट है एक तरफ, ईज मनी ऑन द अदर, devastating rise of the substance abuse and drug addiction, challenges faced by the investigating agency, lack of the intelligence sharing within the center and the state agencies, more focus on apprehending drug distributors. ड्रग डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर पे ज़्यादा कर रहे हैं, हम सोर्स पे हो ही नहीं रहे. नार्कोटिक्स कंट्रोल बिल में मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स के अंदर आता है 1986 में बना था अंडर द नार्कोटिक्स ड्रग्स एंड नार्कोटिक ड्रग्स एंड साइकोट्रॉपिक्स इन 1985. कोऑर्डिनेशन ऑफ एक्शन बाय वेरियस ऑफेंस अंडर द नार्कोटिक ड्रग्स एंड साइकोट्रॉपिक सब्सटेंस एक्ट, कस्टम एक्ट, ड्रग्स एंड कॉस्मेटिक्स एक्ट, implementation of the obligation in respect of the counter or measure against the illicit traffic under the various international convention, assistance to concerned authorities in foreign countries, assistance to concerned authorities in foreign countries, universal action for prevention and the suppression of the illicit traffic in these drugs and substances, coordination of the action taken by other concerned ministry, department, organization in respect of the matter related to drug abuse. It has all the power of the civil court trying to suit under the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. Other initiative to tackle drug menace, National Action Plan for Drug Demand Reduction for 2018 से 2025. It aims at reduction of the adverse consequence of drug abuse through a multi-pronged strategy. National Action Plan for Drug Demand Reduction. National Action Plan for Drug Demand Reduction 2018 से 2025 तक. It aims at reduction of the adverse consequences of drug abuse through a multi-pronged strategy. Nasha Mukt Bharat campaign launched in 2020 in 272 identified districts. It is a three-pronged attack combining the supply curve by National Crime Bureau, outreach and awareness, demand reduction effort by Department of Social Justice and Empowerment, treatment through Health Department, Map Drug, a mobile app available to help in identifying and destruction of the illegal farming in the country. In order to help identify and destruction of illegal farming in the country, help in identify and destruction क्या illegal farming in the country, identify and destruction of illegal farming in the country. Mobile app able to help in identify and destruction of illegal farming in the country. India is committed to following UN treaties and convention to fight drug menace. United Nations Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs 1961, Convention on Psychotropic Substance 1971, Convention on Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance 1998, UN Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs 1961, Convention on Psychotropic Substance Act 1971, Narcotic Drugs 1961, Psychotropic Substance 1971. Section 20. It is the principal legislation to reduce the operation of the narcotic drugs and psychotropic substance. It provides a stringent framework for punishing offences related to illicit traffic in narcotic drugs and psychotropic substance through the imprisonment and forfeiture of property. Section 27A of the Act prescribes the punishment for financing the illicit traffic and harboring offenders. Joint coordination narco coordination centers has been set up by the Ministry of Home Affairs for effective coordination among the various law enforcement agencies. The multi-agency maritime security group set up under the aegis of National Security Council can also monitor the smuggling of drugs through sea route. National multi-agency maritime security group provides seamless coordination between agencies responsible for protecting maritime interests. Cooperation with other countries. The Indian Coast Guard had developed a good synergy not only with the security agencies but also with the Coast Guard of multi-agency maritime security group set up under the aegis of National Security Council. National Coordination Center, Ministry of Home Affairs, effective coordination, multi-agency maritime security group, National Security Council Secretariat. Cooperation with other countries. Indian Coast Guard has developed a good synergy not only with the security agencies but also with the Coast Guard of Sri Lanka, Maldives and Bangladesh. Increasing National Crime Record Bureau capacity. NCB earlier had 3 regional offices in Delhi, Mumbai and Kolkata. Now it is being expanded by setting up of new regional offices like in Amritsar, Chennai for stopping smuggling of drugs into India via marine channel. Launch of Nidan, National Integrated Database on Arrested Narco Offenders Portal. First of its kind database of arrested narcotic offenders has been made operational for use by various central and state prosecution agencies tasked to enforce anti-drug law in the country. Way forward sharing of intelligence. Many state agencies and central agencies work in isolation. The state police generally catch distributors and peddlers, whereas central state है वो distributor and peddler, whereas central agency focus on operating big time smugglers. Enhancing technological capabilities. Sharing of intelligence. Enhancing technological capabilities. States should work together with the National Forensic Science University to use modern technology like blockchain analysis, map intelligence, digital forensic to curb the use of darknet and cryptocurrency. National Forensic Science University, Blockchain Analysis and Intelligence Analysis, Map Intelligence, Digital Forensic. Focus on source of supply. Generally, investigation officer obtain information and catch peddlers and distributors of illegal narcotics. Many times they fail to locate the source of supply. Creating awareness among the students. Awareness can be created by the lectures, films, and through providing literatures about the harmful effects of drug abuse. Also, more de-addiction centers and camps shall be established. Enhancement of punishment and narcotics. Another law should be commensurate with the quantity of contraband recovered. Psychedelic substance. Psychedelic, also known as hallucinogens, are a class of psychoactive substance that produces changes in perception, mood, and cognitive process. Psychedelics affects all the senses, altering the person's thinking, sense of time, and emotion. क्या सोचता है, टाइम क्या है, इमोशन. They can also cause a person to hallucinate, seeing or hearing things that do not exist or disorder. Psychedelics are non-addictive and non-toxic. There are many kinds of psychedelics. Some occur naturally in trees, vines, seeds, fungi, leaves. Psilocybin or magic mushroom are naturally occurring, and psilocybin or magic mushroom consumed for the hallucination effect. Mushrooms containing psilocybin are small and usually brown or tan. Small होते हैं usually brown or tan. In the wild, people often mistake mushroom containing psilocybin for any number of other mushrooms that are poisonous. Some of the other naturally occurring psychedelics include mescaline derivatives from the North American peyote cactus, N-dimethyltryptamine, which is the primary constituent of the ceremonial sacrament ayahuasca from South America. Researchers have also developed the synthetic psychedelics. Some of the other naturally occurring psychedelics are the mescaline derivative from the North American cactus, N-dimethyltryptamine, which is the primary constituent of the ceremonial sacrament ayahuasca from South America. So also developed synthetic psychedelic. In India, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropics Act of 1985 provides the use of psychedelic substance. Ketamine, a dissociative anesthetic with the psychedelic properties, is used under strict medical supervision for anesthesia. Ketamine, ये एक dissociative anesthetic and psychedelic properties used for the strict medical supervision for anesthesia and to treatment resistant depression. Okay, in 1957, psychiatrist Humphrey Osborne coined the term psychedelic to describe the therapeutic nature of certain drugs, revealing the suppressed aspect of the psyche. Okay, thermobaric bomb. Human rights group accused Myanmar's military of using thermobaric bomb, also called vacuum or aerosol bomb or fuel air explosive. A thermobaric bomb consists of a fuel container with two separate explosive charges. When it hits the target, first explosive charges open the container and widely scattered fuel mixture as a cloud. A second charge then detonates the cloud, resulting in a huge fireball, massive blast wave, and a vacuum which sucks up all surrounding oxygen. There are no international laws specifying banning their use. How thermobaric weapon work? Precision guided bomb strikes target. Okay. A small explosion releases a cloud of explosive material. Second explosion ignites cloud, causing a massive blast that is capable of vaporizing human bodies. Khurram Shah 4 ballistic missile. ईरान लॉन्च द 4th generation of its liquid fuel खुर्रम शाह. ईरान ने लॉन्च करी खुर्रम शाह 4 ballistic missile named Khyber. The Khurram Shah is named after an Iranian city that was the scene of the heavy fighting during the Iran-Iraq war in 1980s. खुर्रम शाह नाम ईरान की सिटी Iran-Iraq war हुआ था 1980s में. Khyber after a Jewish fortress in present day Saudi. वहाँ पे एक Jewish fortress है in the present day Saudi Arabia. Khyber after a Jewish fortress in present days was conquered by the Muslim in the 7th. मुस्लिम ने खैबर को कॉन्कर कर लिया था. जूइस का था लेकिन मुस्लिम ने कर लिया. खुर्रम शाह 4 has a 2000 km range with a 1500 kg warhead. It is modeled after North Korea's Musudan ballistic missile. North Korea की मुसुदान, ईरान की खैबर या खुर्रम शाह मुसुदान. It is modern. Ballistic missiles use projection motion to deliver nuclear or conventional warhead on a target. They are powered initially by a rocket. Indian naval sailing vessel Tarini returned to India after completing a trans-ocean intercontinental voyage. 188-day voyage was from Goa to Rio de Janeiro via Cape Town and back. It is a part of the run up towards their Navy's next big project to send a woman to circumnavigate the globe solo. Indian naval sailing vessel Tarini returned to India after completing a trans-ocean intercontinental voyage. ये 188 days का voyage है. Was from Goa to Rio de Janeiro via Cape Town and back. गोवा से रियो डी जेनेरो, गोवा टू रियो डी जेनेरो वाया केप टाउन, गोवा से रियो डी जेनेरो वाया केप टाउन and back. By its voyage was from Goa to Rio de Janeiro via Cape Town and back. It is a part of the run-up towards the Navy's next big project to send a woman to circumnavigate the globe solo. NSV Tarini is known for those such expedition 188 days from Goa to Rio de Janeiro and via Cape Town and back. It is a part of the run-up towards the Navy's next big project to send a woman to circumnavigate the globe of the solar. NS Tarini is known for those such expedition Navika Sagar Parikrama, the first ever Indian circulation of the globe by an all-woman crew. ओके एक्सरसाइज इन न्यूज़ समुद्र सागर 23 इट इज़ इन इंडिया और इंडोनेशिया की बायलेटरल एक्सरसाइज थी. जल राहत इज अ फ्लड रिलीफ एक्सरसाइज दैट वाज जॉइंटली कनेक्टेड बाय इंडियन आर्मी सशस्त्र सीमा बल and the national and the state disaster response force, district disaster management DDMA and the police and repented at the हगरामा ब्रिज ऑन मानस रिवर. असम में एक रिवर है मानस, उसी पे एक ब्रिज है हगरामा. सुदर्शन शक्ति 2023 इट वॉज कनेक्टेड बाय द सप्त शक्ति कमान of the Indian Army along with the western borders in Rajasthan and Punjab. Maritime exercise Al Mohd Al Hind 2003 is the bilateral exercise Al Mohd Al Hind between Indian Navy and the Royal Saudi Navy for Asian India Maritime Exercise. Asian India Maritime Exercise recently inaugural Asian India Maritime Exercise was held. Harbour phase of the exercise was held in Changi naval base of the Singapore Navy, and the sea phase was conducted in South China Sea. INS Delhi India's first intelligently guided मिसाइल. दिल्ली जो है वो मिसाइल को डिस्ट्रॉय कर देती है. सतपुरा इंडिजिनसली बिल्ड गाइडेड मिसाइल स्टेल्थ ब्रिगेड. देखिए एक मिसाइल डिस्ट्रॉय ए मिसाइल स्टेल्थ ब्रिगेड. P-81 मैरीटाइम पेट्रोल एयरक्राफ्ट participated in the inaugural Asian India Maritime Operation, promoting maritime cooperation and enhancing the maritime में कोऑपरेशन बढ़े, ठीक है, ट्रस्ट बढ़े, फ्रेंडशिप बढ़े, कॉन्फिडेंस अमंग द एशियन एंड द इंडियन नेवीज. एनवायरमेंट decarbonization of the Indian economy. The Energy Transition Advisory Committee formed by the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas has come to report the green shift, low carbon transition of the India's oil and gas sector. ETC Energy Transition Advisory Committee was founded on energy transition pathway for the oil and the gas public sector energy in the country. The report focused on increasing the adoption of the clean energy solution such as hydrogen, biofuel, nuclear, geothermal tidal in the energy mix of the country. This energy transition pathway paved the way toward the decarbonization of the Indian economy. Adoption of the clean energy solution, hydrogen, biofuel, nuclear, geothermal. This energy transition pathway will pave the way toward the decarbonization of the Indian economy, thus enabling the idea of sustainable development. Need for decarbonization, global warming. Based on the current policy pathway defined by the countries who advise, the Earth is better to be 2.7 to 3.5 degrees Celsius warmer than the pre-industrial temperature level by the end of the century. 2.7, 3.5. Let's meet the Paris Agreement target for limiting the global. It is crucial to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions in the next year by around 50%. Decarbonization is used for the reduction of carbon dioxide output into the atmosphere. It is one of the two aspects of reducing the greenhouse gas emission and absorbing carbon from the reduce करो और एटमॉस्फेयर से कार्बन को एब्जॉर्ब करो. क्लाइमेट चेंज. इंडिया रैंक द 7 द वर्ल्ड मोस्ट अफेक्टेड कंट्रीज बाय द क्लाइमेट चेंज. 2019 more than 75% of the Indian districts characterized as a hotspot for extreme climate events over the last 50 year. Drought and the flood have become increasingly frequent across the India, with a 13-fold increase in the annual average number of the drought affected districts and a 4-fold rise in the flood event. Achieving net zero amidst an increase in energy demand. India made the historic announcement of reaching net zero by the year 2070, but there is a need for more energy intake as the India's economic clocks high growth rate over the net zero by the year 2070. Achieving net zero amidst an increase in energy demand. Net zero increase in energy demand बढ़ रही है. Achieving net zero. इंडिया में हिस्टोरिक अनाउंसमेंट ऑफ रीचिंग नेट जीरो बाय द ईयर 2070. कब तक करनी है? Net zero 2070 तक. But there is a need for more energy intake as the Indian economy clocks the high growth rate. India's carbon emission profile global standing. India is the third largest aggregate emitter in the world. Emission expected to grow by 5 times if emission continue to grow at the historical rate of 5%. India is home to 1/6 of the world's population, but historically has accounted for only 3.3% of the cumulative global emission. पॉपुलेशन कितनी? पॉपुलेशन 1/6. हर 6 इंसान में से एक इंडियन है, ठीक है, लेकिन इसमें रिस्पॉन्सिबल कितना है CO2 का? 3.3%. थर्ड लार्जेस्ट एग्रीगेट एमिटर इन द वर्ल्ड. एमिशन एक्सपेक्टेड टू ग्रो 5 टाइम एमिशन इसको कितना. मेरा सेक्टर इंडिया इंडस्ट्रियल एंड द पावर सेक्टर अकाउंट फॉर इंडस्ट्री एंड पावर. ऑलमोस्ट ऑफ द इंडियाज एमिशन ऑफ कितना एमिशन है? 2.7 giga ton of CO2. अराउंड 1/3 ऑफ द एमिशन कम फ्रॉम द स्टील, 1/3 स्टील सीमेंट फॉलोड बाय 1/3 फ्रॉम पावर. देखो 1/3 स्टील सीमेंट, 1/3 फ्रॉम पावर, रेस्ट फ्रॉम ट्रांसपोर्टेशन. and the sector. Agriculture and direct activities another important sector contributing about 70% of the emission wheels of the decarbonization for India's energy transition. Renewable energy. India has to move towards a cleaner energy source progressively and cannot afford high pollution level. India has set a target of 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel installed capacity by 2030. 500 gigawatt. India has huge potential for solar energy and the cost of the solar power has come down reduced resource exploration. India cannot continue to depend on large scale energy import and must develop its own resource. Why deals with decarbonization? हमें डिकार्बोनाइज करना है. इंडिया का एनर्जी ट्रांजिशन है, उसमें डिकार्बोनाइजेशन करना है तो रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी होनी चाहिए, रिसोर्स एक्सप्लोरेशन, एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी एंड एनर्जी अफोर्डेबिलिटी. द इंक्रीज इन एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी एंड इट्स अफोर्डेबिलिटी विल ऑलवेज रिमेन एन इंपॉर्टेंट इशू. There is a requirement for an updated national level building rating system that should include renewable energy usage, technology innovation. Through well-targeted production linked initiative scheme, the domestic capacity in technology and the related equipment and hardware has increased. Production linked initiative. If domestic capacity in technology and related equipment and hardware has increased, India must also look for the technologies to use coal without causing much environmental damage. The medium-term energy industry transition. India is a large energy consumer shifting slowly to electricity. Large energy consumer shifting slowly to electricity or natural gas. However, some hard-to-abate sectors like steel and the cement still use large quantity of coal due to their particular requirement. India's 2030 commitment progress and a driver. India's commitment in Paris Agreement for 2030. 40% renewable energy in power generation capacity mix by 2030. 36% remix includes a large hydro achieved. 33 to 35% low emission intensity of GDP in 2030 from 2005 level. 20% reduction in emission intensity achieved. 8 CO2 per million. Drivers to achieve the India's 2030 goal. Ambitious solar and the wind and the renewable energy target 450 gigawatt of renewable energy, 60% capacity by 2023. Renewable status for large hydro, 50 gigawatt of hydropower reclassified as renewable energy. Lower specific energy consumption and target another PAT scheme. Kilometer 27 million ton. Saved through higher energy efficiency. Strategy for 3 gigaton CO2 sink approved by the Indian government. Focus on enhanced soil quality to store more carbon. Cumulative 27 million ton and of equivalent saved through higher energy efficiency. The domestic capacity technology needed equipment and hardware increase. India must look for technologies to use coal without causing much environmental damage. And industry transition. Industry, a large energy consumer, is shifting slowly to electricity or natural gas. How some hardware-based sectors like the steel and the cement still use a large quantity of coal due to the peculiar requirement. Electric transportation globally as well as for India, the rate of the transition in fossil fuel consumption primarily depends on the shift in the auto sector to electric vehicle. Shift in the auto sectors. Electric transportation globally as well as for India, the rate of transition in fossil fuel consumption primarily depends on the shift in the auto sector to electric vehicle. National carbon market developing and scaling voluntary carbon market in near term and the compliance market in the long term could play a role in financing the transition. Voluntary carbon market. Alternative fuel and the waste to fuel economy having achieved the target of 10% ethanol blending program by 10% 2022. India has preponed one target of achieving 20% ethanol blending preponed and achieving 5% ethanol blending and 5% biodiesel blending by the year 2000. देखो 2022 में 10% किया, तो उन्होंने कहा 2025 तक 20% कर लो और 2030 तक 5% डीजल में भी कर लो. 5-pole पंचामृत strategy committed by India in COP26. 5-fold Panchamrit. 2030, India will meet 50% of its energy requirement from the renewable energy. Non-fossil energy capacity will reach 500 gigawatt by 2030. Reduce total projected carbon emission by 1 billion ton from the now till 2030. अभी चलेगा 2030 तक 1 billion and 1 billion ton. Carbon intensity of the economy would be reduced to less than 45% by 2030. By 2020, India will achieve the target of net zero. And changes needed for India's economic decarbonization. Potential. Okay, now पहला है potential institutional ministry level setup. The administrative setup may be created around the energy providing ministries consisting of Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Ministry of Power and Coal, Ministry at the core. The process may be coordinated by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, providing equal data. The Bureau of Energy Efficiency may be tasked with evaluating or soliciting audit to energy transition modeling and projection. Niti Aayog may continue to provide modeling expertise and make projection for the future, which is essential for planning. कैसे प्लान करना है, प्लान कर लिया, ठीक है, मॉनिटर करना है, करेक्शन एक्सेट्रा. एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप ऑन एनर्जी ट्रांजिशन. एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप comprising industry representative from different sectors, both energy and demand supply, may be created to provide input to the setup. Tie up liaison with international organization. constantly scan and note the relevant development taking place globally to get a quick idea of what might work and what needs to be avoided. Constantly scan and note the relevant development taking place globally to get a quick idea of what might work and what needs to be avoided. Constantly scan and note the relevant development taking place globally to get a quick idea of what might work and what needs to be avoided. Social change, economic change, social and economic change India for effective decarbonization, catalyzing effective capital reallocation and new financing structure. Managing demand shift and near-term unit cost increase, establishing compensating mechanism to address the socio or economic impact, capital relocation, demand shift management, compensation mechanism. Scaling up climate finance, 3.5 trillion increase in spending on low emission assets versus today. Develop new financial instrument and special purpose vehicle for setting up low emission assets. Long-term purchase agreement, pricing externalities to rebalance incentive. Policies to increase the capital spending in emission reduction project, funding the repurposing of or decommissioning of the redundant asset. Building transparency around the climate risk and opportunities. Climate stress test for factoring risk and investment. Identify climate stress test. Identifying measures to manage the cost increase. Distribute the impact of cost increase across the value chain. Incentive for making low emission tech cost competitive. List demand for the low emission tech to achieve economies of scale. Supporting economic development and diversification. Expedite the timeline in for 100 billion climate support fund. जो $100 बिलियन क्लाइमेट सपोर्ट फंड उसका टाइमलाइन बढ़ाना, एक्सपेडाइटिंग उसको जल्दी करना, रीस्किलिंग एंड रीडेवलपमेंट ऑफ वर्कर रिटेन उनको रीस्किल करो, रीडेवलप करो रिटेनिंग वर्कर्स फॉर द राइट स्किल इन द लो कार्बन इकोनॉमी इंस्टीट्यूशनल सपोर्ट फॉर डिस्प्लेस वर्कर ऑप्शन फॉर एडिंग डिस्प्लेस वर्कर्स एग्जाम्पल इनकम सपोर्ट मेजर्स एंड सब्सिडीज. Climate finance for decarbonization. Climate finance landscape in India. Major role of the domestic sources. 85% of the climate finance was from domestic sources like commercial bank, government budget, public sector grant. There is a limited foreign capital inflow despite public commitment from developed countries to provide US $100 billion of climate finance annually by developing countries. High reliance on the debt and grant. More than 60% of the finance flow over in forms of loan from commercial bank and multilateral organization. Government funding was primarily offered by a grant. Considered in the power sector, climate funding is majorly towards the renewables, while the power generation sector remains the primary recipient with 80% of the fund. Other low carbon pathways such as the biofuel, last mile technology like carbon capture, utilization and storage. Carbon capture, utilization and storage, green hydrogen, they have yet to receive enough funding. Other low carbon pathways such as biofuel, last mile technology, climate funding is majorly towards renewable, while with the power generation sector remains the primary recipient with 80% of fund. Other low carbon pathways such as biofuel, last mile technology like carbon capture, utilization and storage, green hydrogen have yet to receive enough funding. Adaptation funding was critically underserved with less than 10% of the overall. Major role of domestic sources. 85% of climate finance was from domestic sources like commercial bank. The limited capital, foreign capital inflow despite public commitment from the developed countries. Developed countries ने कहा है कि 100 बिलियन ऑफ फाइनेंस देंगे लेकिन बहुत कम आ रहा है. हाई रिलायंस ऑन डेप्ट एंड ग्रांट. 60% of finance flow over in the form of loans from commercial bank and multilateral. Government funding was primarily offered by a grant, loan and grant. Considered in the power sector, climate funding is mainly towards the renewable, with the power generation remaining the primary recipient with 80% of the fund. Other low carbon pathway जैसे कि बायोफ्यूल हो सकता है, last mile connectivity like carbon capture, utilization and storage, green hydrogen have yet to receive funding, while green capital ecosystem. Green capital raised in India is growing, but it is fraction of the global capital. Significant capital shortfall anticipated in India. Target to achieve net zero by 2070. India 21 billion higher. Okay, opposing realities affecting India's green financing. Reality 1. India needs 9 times more climate finance annually. Lack of bankable pipeline of projects in India for investors. Other challenges in getting funding include lack of standard definition of green in India, resulting in limited visibility on fund flow, increasing fears of greenwashing. Limited visibility on fund flow, increasing fear of greenwashing. Limited visibility on fund flow, increasing fear of greenwashing. Increasing fear of greenwashing, limited visibility on fund flow. Lack of standard definition of green in India resulting in limited visibility on fund flow, increasing fear of greenwashing. Limited visibility on fund flow, increasing fears of greenwashing. Limited incorporation of climate risk in credit rating risk framework resulting in higher perceived risk of green investment. Long-term institutional investors such as pension funds are not factor climate risk in investment portfolio. Policy and regulatory mechanism. carbon pricing, carbon tax compliance, carbon market, internal carbon pricing, fuel subsidy reduction, carbon border tax adjustment, and carbon pricing, carbon tax, carbon market, carbon internal carbon pricing, okay, fuel subsidy reduction, carbon border tax adjustment, fiscal policy, climate tax incentive, green allocation in budget, FDI and ECB norm, sectoral policy incentives, robust and Intel aligned framework for low carbon development, clean definition of green taxonomy aligned to nationally determined contribution, international standard, disclosure and reporting norms, climate risk framework, financial market guidelines, financial market regulation, investor guidelines, climate risk guidelines for pensioners and insurers, green asset regulation, catalyze private and ventilated investment, project blended of finance, credit guarantee, first loss lending, patient long-term capital, direct investment to demonstrate viability, priority sector lending, strategic partnership, research and development funding, incentive for low carbon and the climate resilient and low carbon goods classification, low carbon and climate resilient, green government security, technology adoption for decarbonization. It is estimated that the existing technology can eliminate about 25% of the current emission technology. In early adoption can address another 40%. This still leaves approximately 35% and current annual emission for which new technologies are needed if we are to achieve net zero. Deploy advanced digital tool for emission tracking and mitigation. Digital technology like the emission linked decision support system, advanced energy scenario modeling, etc. Cross industry sector data partnership enable a joint production initiative to across the ecosystem, develop and promote the emerging green technology. Establishing internal process innovation as a priority to develop green technology by adopting the framework re-engineer, reimagine, reboot. जो भी कुछ है उसे री-इंजीनियर करो, सिर्फ वापस से री-इमेजिन, रीबूट और इन्वेंट. Partner ecosystem enablement, joint cross industry sector partnership enable joint reduction initiative across the sector. Deploy advanced digital tool for emission tracking and mitigation. Digital technology like the emission linked decision support system, advanced energy modeling. ठीक है. Develop and promote emerging green technology. Establish internal process innovation as priority to develop green technology by adopting the framework re-engineer. Approach to expand, reinvent business model. Reimagine new solution that fulfill the customer needs in a new way, avoiding emission. Invent deep tech approach through breakthrough technology. Reboot, improve the product offering with new low carbon technology. Engine towards better accelerated deployment of existing slow carbon solution. New solution that fulfill the customer need. Re-engineer, reimagine, reboot, invent. Energy efficiency improvement along with the reimagination and invention. Re-engineering through energy enhancement programs within the refineries must be explored. Establish coordination framework, knowledge sharing and joint accountability. Sectoral bodies can be set up to reap the collective benefits of effort being made by the individual entities. Mobilize investors interest with public sector banking. Increase the public funding via a co-investment and matching mechanism to lower the investor risk. The public sector will have to absorb increased level of investment risk currently associated with emission reduction technology, energy reduction stage, etc. Use of production linked incentive scheme for building domestic capacity, helping create a global competitive ability. Carbon market to aid decarbonization. The Bureau of Energy Efficiency along with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change aim to develop the carbon credit trading scheme for decarbonization. हमें क्या करना चाहिए? कार्बनाइजेशन नहीं, decarbonization. तो कार्बन क्रेडिट ट्रेडिंग स्कीम. Carbon trading is the process of buying and selling permit. Carbon trading is the process of buying and selling permit and credit that allow the permit holder to emit the carbon. Permit holder to buying, selling, and credit that allow the permit holder to emit the carbon dioxide. To decarbonize the economy by pricing the greenhouse gas emission through the trading of the carbon credit certificate. India has an energy saving based market mechanism. Perform, achieve and trade PAT. And the new scheme will enhance the energy transition effort with an increased scope that will cover the traditional energy sectors. The greenhouse gas emission intensity benchmark and the target will be developed and will be aligned with India's emission trajectory as per the climate goals. The trading of carbon credit will take place based on the performance against the three sectoral trajectory. Further, it is envisaged that there will be a development and of voluntary mechanism concurrent to increase greenhouse gas reduction from the will take place based on the performance against these sectoral trajectories. Further, it is envisaged that there will be development of voluntary mechanism concurrently to increase the greenhouse gas from the non and obligatory sectors. Biofuel will opportunity in decarbonization. Biofuels involve the direct conversion of biomass into liquid fuel, which can be blended with existing automatic fuel. Ethanol and the biodiesel are the two main transport biofuels. These fuels can be produced from a variety of biomass. First generation 1G biofuels are usually made from the edible feedstock like sugarcane and edible wale se sugarcane, beet, food grain. 2G are produced from lignocellulosic biomass obtained from the energy crop or the waste biomass such as the agriculture residue and the forest agriculture waste biomass. Energy crop or waste biomass such as agriculture residue and forest residue. Third generation biofuels are produced from algal biomass. Algae can be used for the production of all types of biofuels such as the biodiesel, gasoline, butanol, propanol, ethanol with a high yield approximately 10 times algal biomass. Biofuels such as biodiesel, gasoline, butanol, propanol, ethanol with a high yield approximately 10 times higher than 2G fuel. Fourth generation are the amalgamation of the genomically prepared microorganism. Genomically prepared microorganism, genomically prepared organism and genetically engineered feedstock grown in a non-edible lane. First generation edible, second generation non-edible. Woodgrass straw. Third generation algal biomass, macroalgae, macro and microalgae. Fourth generation breakthrough pyrolysis, solar to fuel, genetically modified organism. Biofuel Indian market key challenges. Okay, biofuel bioethanol produced by distilling कार्बोहाइड्रेट शुगर केन से निकालते हैं, शुगर केन बीट से कार्बोहाइड्रेट निकालते हैं और डिस्टिलिंग स्टार्च फ्रॉम द फूड ग्रेन. इंडिया अचीव द टारगेट 10% इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग बाय 2020 and has gone to prepone the timeline by 5 years to 2025 for additional blending of for an ambitious blending target of 20% in low yield for sugarcane and the maize will require land use change. Low yield for sugarcane and maize will require land use change, unsustainable water use and fertilizer due to subsidies in feedstock production. तो feedstock जो ये हम कर रहे हैं उसके प्रोडक्शन के लिए सब्सिडी देते हैं तो अनसस्टेनेबल वाटर यूज शुरू हो जाएगा. अनसस्टेनेबल वाटर तो क्या होगा, अनसस्टेनेबल वाटर की challenges. Low yield for sugarcane and maize can use land use change, unsustainable water use and fertilizer due to subsidies. Promoting 1G biofuel maybe lead to technology lock-ins and delay switching to 2G feedstock. Promote technology for production of ethanol from non-food feedstock. Advanced biofuel encourage the production of crop with a lower environment burden such as maize and sorghum. Establishing a feedstock pricing mechanism linked to bioethanol price, introducing certification system for greenhouse gas saving, expedite establishment of a national biofuel fund. In the biodiesel are produced by converting bioethanol. Biodiesel produced by converting vegetable oil into compounds called fatty acid methyl esters. Produced by converting vegetable oils into compounds called fatty acid and methyl esters. It is produced by converting vegetable oils into compounds called fatty acid methyl ester. Produced by converting vegetable oils into compounds called fatty acid and methyl esters. Produced by converting the vegetable oil into compounds called fatty acid methyl ester. Biodiesel is produced by converting biodiesel जो वेजिटेबल ऑयल होता है इनटू कंपाउंड्स कॉल्ड फैटी एसिड एंड मिथाइल एस्टर. नेशनल बायोडीजल पॉलिसी 2018 सेट अ टारगेट ऑफ 5% बायोडीजल ब्लेंडिंग इन डीजल बाय 2030. लैक ऑफ अ डेडिकेटेड सप्लाई चेन फॉर द रॉ मटेरियल. कोई ये ऊपर जो हमने पढ़ा था बायो इथेनॉल पढ़ा था, अभी बायोडीजल पढ़ रहा है. डेडिकेटेड सप्लाई चेन नहीं है और for raw material, high price in international market and increased export result in a supply deficit within the country. Lack of incentive for vehicle manufacturers to make the biodiesel compatible engines. भाई मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को हम कोई इंसेंटिव ही नहीं दे रहे हैं कि वो बायोडीजल से compatible इंजन बनाए. प्रमोट रिसर्च ऑन न्यू feedstock like algae oil to ensure a steady supply. Encourage sale without blending. Establish a mandate for the use of used cooking oil for biodiesel production. Compressed biogas is the process of anaerobic decomposition, CBG. Decomposition anaerobics are the sustainable alternative towards affordable transportation. Envisage production of 15 mmT CBG and 50 mmT of manure from 5,000 plant. Higher equipment cost due to the lack of economies of scale and difficulties in financing. Lack of long-term sustainable supply of feedstock. Technical and infrastructure barrier due to poor collection and unorganized transportation of waste. Sustainable alternative towards affordable transportation. CBG production of 15 mmT of CBG and 50 mmT of manure. Creation of a biomass supply chain through 2. Promotion activities, notification, subsidy, promotion, biomass clusters, incentive, waste should be directed to biogas production, CBG market development by mandating CBG blending, promoting CBG and CNG vehicles, financial assistance for CBG plant and PLI scheme, green hydrogen opportunity. In opportunities for decarbonization, 99% of the pure hydrogen demand in India come from the primary two sectors. Refinery, pure hydrogen demand in India comes from primary two sectors. Refinery, petroleum demand कहाँ से आ रही है? Refinery, petroleum refining and fertilizer ammonia production. Where hydrogen has the potential to be used in other sectors, energy carrier, different color codes have been assigned to distinguish between hydrogen generated from various sources. Challenges in scaling up green hydrogen market, high cost of the green hydrogen including the production, transportation, conversion, storage is still high, low level of technology readiness. Technology required for decarbonization and hydrogen value chain needs to be proven. Skill efficiency issue, hydrogen production and conversion involves significant energy loss at each stage of the value chain. सबसे पहले क्या होता है? ग्रीन इलेक्ट्रिक वाटर से बनाते हैं ग्रीन इलेक्ट्रोसिस, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन, वाटर का इलेक्ट्रोसिस करो तो ग्रीन बन जाता है. नेचुरल गैस से तीन बन सकते हैं. स्टीम रिफॉर्मेशन, कार्बन कैप्चर एंड स्टोरेज, ब्लू. स्टीम रिफॉर्मेशन, ग्रे. पायलिसिस, टर्क्वाइज. ब्राउन कोल से ब्राउन, ब्लैक कोल से ब्लैक. न्यूक्लियर और ब्राउन कोल, ब्लैक कोल गैसिफिकेशन से बनता है. न्यूक्लियर इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस, पिंक. नेचुरली अकर अंडरग्राउंड, वाइट. सेंट्रल पॉलिसी एंड low level technology, hydrogen production. Okay, बहुत लॉस होता है. renewable electricity availability, as more and use sectors are electrified, a lack of sufficient renewable electricity may become a bottleneck for production of iron. As more and use sectors are electrified, it a lack of sufficient renewable electricity may become a bottleneck for the production of green hydrogen. Policy and regulatory, कोई भी पॉलिसी जो है वो स्टेबल नहीं है. लॉन्ग टर्म पॉलिसी आर नीडेड टू सपोर्ट डेवलपमेंट एंड डिप्लॉयमेंट एट स्केल. सर्टिफिकेशन, कंट्रीज लैक इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज्ड mechanism to track the production and consumption of any share of hydrogen and identify its characteristics. Key policy initiative intervention needed: facilitate access to low cost renewable electricity, allow hydrogen mixed with natural gas to be used in existing natural gas infrastructure, develop appropriate mechanism to price the emission of greenhouse gas which would increase the decarbonization of the economy. Partial exemptions of the grid charge, tax, levies for electrolyzer, PLI scheme for different components in green hydrogen or ammonia value chain, production link incentive scheme for different components in green hydrogen or ammonia value chain. Facilitate access to low cost renewable electricity, allow hydrogen mixed with natural gas to be used in existing natural gas infrastructure, develop appropriate mechanism to price the emission of greenhouse gas which would encourage decarbonization of the economy. Low cost renewable electricity, allow hydrogen mixed with natural gas, develop appropriate mechanism to price the emission of greenhouse gas which would encourage decarbonization, PLI scheme for different components in green hydrogen or ammonia value chain, partial exemption of the grid charge, which would taxes and levies, gas-based economy. India's natural gas consumption which fell 6% by financial 23 up compared to a year ago, posing a challenge to India's vision of the gas-based economy. हम अपनी इकोनॉमी कैसे चाहते हैं? गैस बेस. नेचुरल गैस कंजम्पशन कितना फॉल हो गया? 6%. नेचुरल गैस LNG. नेचुरल गैस ऑर्डरलेस होती है. गैसेस मिक्सचर ऑफ द लाइट हाइड्रोकार्बन इंक्लूडिंग द मीथेन, प्रोपेन, ब्यूटेन, पेंटेन. अदर कंपाउंड्स फाउंड इन नेचुरल गैस इंक्लूड CO2, हीलियम, हाइड्रोजन सल्फाइड. नाइट्रोजन भी होता है. CO2, helium, nitrogen, hydrogen sulfide. It is neither corrosive nor toxic. Its ignition temperature is high and has a narrow flammability range. Conventional natural gas, in places where natural gas is moved into large cracks and spaces between the layers of the overlying rock. Unconventional and natural source occurs in the tiny pore spaces within some formation of shale, sandstone, and other types of sedimentary rock, also called shale gas. Associated natural gas occurrence with the deposit of crude oil. कोल बेड मीथेन फाउंड इन कोल डिपॉजिट. कोल बेड मीथेन कहाँ मिलता है? कोल डिपॉजिट में. LNG टर्मिनल्स इन इंडिया. LNG टर्मिनल्स इन इंडिया. सबसे पहले दहेज गुजरात में, हजीरा गुजरात में. LNG दहेज गुजरात में कौन सी है? पेट्रोनेट LNG है. शेल एनर्जी इंडिया, हजीरा गुजरात में. हाजीरा शेल. दहेज पेट्रोनेट. धबोल महाराष्ट्र में रत्नागिरी गैस एंड पावर है. पाइपलाइन धमरा उड़ीसा इंडियन ऑयल कॉरपोरेशन था. धमरा उड़ीसा इंडियन ऑयल कॉरपोरेशन का. हाइड्रोजन एनर्जी गेटवे जयगढ़ महाराष्ट्र. जफराबाद गुजरात में. गुजरात में जगह है जफराबाद. जयगढ़ है महाराष्ट्र में. ओके. इंडिया LNG इम्पोर्ट बाय सोर्स 2021 की बात करते हैं. सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पोर्ट कहाँ से होता है? LNG कतार से 42% करते हैं. US से 16% करते हैं. यूनाइटेड अरब एमिरेट दुबई से 13% करते हैं. नाइजीरिया 6, Oman 5, Angola 5. Under about gas-based economy. A gas-based economy where the dominance of the natural gas in India's primary energy mix. India's goal is to increase the share of the gas in the energy mix from the current 6% to 15% in 2030. Cleaner energy source. Though natural gas is a fossil fuel, CO2 emission per unit of energy produced from gas around 40% lower than coal and 20% lower than oil. It also considers advantage in terms of the emission of the main air pollutant, including fine particulate matter PM 2.5, sulfur oxide, mainly sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide. Energy efficient natural gas power plant. अगर कोई ऐसा पावर प्लांट जो नेचुरल गैस से चल रहा है, हायर एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी कंपेयर टू कोल फायर प्लांट, नेचुरल गैस प्रोडक्शन इज मच लेस एक्सपेंसिव देन फॉसिल फ्यूल्स कोल और oil or coal. Rapid and efficient transfer. When it is cooled to minus 161.5, the natural gas become a liquid. Natural gas जो है वो liquid बन जाएगी. LNG filling only 1/6 of its original volume. This makes the natural gas easier to store and transport long distance. Versatility energy. So as a gas or as LNG, it can power electrical grid, heating system, home cooking appliances, some vehicles, backup power compared to renewable. The intermittent nature of the solar and the wind power source is concerns about the instability. जो सोलर और विंड है वो इंस्टेबिलिटी इंटरमिटेंट टाइप की होती है. इंटरमिटेंट सप्लाई है तो इनस्टेबल है. नेचुरल गैस पावर जनरेटर कैन बी द ideal backup power companies as they provide clean source of power and have a very short startup time. Help in vision of reliable gas has a role to play in helping the government deliver on its commitment to provide a 24/7 reliable power. Helping with reliable gas has a role to play in helping the government deliver its commitment to provide 24/7 reliable power in our centers. Pipe natural gas can effectively cater to cooking, heating, cooling needs of both commercial and residential entities. Challenges related to gas economy. Variation in estimate. Over the past 2 decades, there have been variation in estimation regarding the share of the natural gas in India's energy mix. Goals have been shifted from 20% by 2025. Goals have shifted from 20% by 2025 to 11% 2010 to 15% by 2030. Shifted from 20%. पहले चाह रहे थे. Changes over the past 2 decades, there have been variation in the estimation regarding the share of the natural gas in India's energy mix. 20% 2025, फिर 11% 2032, 15%. Without clear justification for these changes, monitoring analysis of program become challenging. Initiative taken towards the gas-based economy. Revised domestic natural gas pricing guidelines based on the recommendation of the panel headed by the Kirti Parekh. Government has approved the revised domestic natural gas pricing guidelines. Key changes include the benchmarking the price of the administered price mechanism gas to the price of the imported crude in the monthly rather than the biannual revision. Help hydrocarbon exploration and licensing policy. It aims to boost domestic gas production through initiatives like expediting development of existing discoveries, developing marginal or the small field, establishing market freedom for gas produced from deep water and ultra deep water areas and from small field. Launch of India Gas Exchange. India has now its own gas exchange acting as a nationwide automated trading platform to enable the competitive indigenous benchmark gas price. Launch of India Gas Exchange. India has now its own gas exchange. Launch of India Gas Exchange. इंडिया का खुद का एक हेल्प हाइड्रोकार्बन एक्सप्लोरेशन एंड लाइसेंसिंग पॉलिसी बूस्ट डोमेस्टिक गैस प्रोडक्शन like exploring development of existing discovery, developing marginal or small field, establishing marketing freedom for gases produced from deep water, ultra deep water, small field. Launch of the India Gas Exchange. India has now its own gas exchange acting as nationwide automated trading platform to enable a competitive indigenous benchmark gas price. Unified tariff for natural gas pipeline, petroleum natural gas, and determination of the petroleum natural gas pipeline tariff regulation to incorporate the regulation pertaining to unified tariff for natural gas pipeline. It is an attempt toward the ambitious aim of one nation, one grid, one tariff. Ek nation, ek grid, one nation, one grid, one tariff. In creating necessary gas infrastructure, this is being done through LNG terminals like Dahej and Hazira in Gujarat, Dabhol in Maharashtra, Kochi in Kerala. National gas grid and city gas national gas grid city gas distribution network. Also eastern and the northeastern parts are connected with the gas grid by developing Pradhan Mantri Urja Ganga project, Northeast Gas Grid project. Okay, concerns about the energy security. 50% of our current demand is met through the import of the LNG from other countries. Thus, energy security through the gas is linked to higher import bill and geopolitical dependence, lack of competitive parity. For example, coal is subjected to goods and service tax and therefore taxed at 5%, while natural gas is outside the purview of GST and typically higher while the natural gas is outside the purview of the GST and typically taxed at a higher value. For example, coal is subject to GST and therefore taxed at 5%. Lack of competitive parity. Coal GST लगता है 5%, natural gas is also by GST typically taxed at a higher rate. Not conducive with decarbonization. Natural gas increased share in the primary energy mix may not be conducive. Natural gas increased share in the primary energy mix may not be conducive in may not to be conducive to India's long-term decarbonization strategy. Thus, related infrastructure may end up being standard asset and investment. Infrastructure country India currently lacks adequate infrastructure for the natural gas distribution and including pipeline and storage facilities. Decarbonization in natural gas increase and the primaries may not be considered India's long-term decarbonization strategy, because it may end up being standardized and investment. Environmental concern. While natural gas is considered a cleaner fossil fuel, its extraction, production, and combustion still generate greenhouse gas emissions. Consider other recommendations of the KT Park. Other recommendations include the completely free and market determining pricing for natural gas started from legacy field and include natural gas and GST regime. Demand stimulation. Promote the use of natural gas across the private sector, including power generation industry. Use of natural gas power generation industry, transportation, residual facilities can be achieved through the policy related tax benefits, subsidies, targeted scheme. You increase the utilization of the current asset. The center, state, and the private sector must collaborate to increase the utilization of the gas-based plant. The Parliament Standing Committee on Energy report has identified 14.3 gigawatt of the standard gas-based plant with investment of over 650 billion. Most of diversify import. So India should attempt to diversify import sources of natural gas by strengthening existing barrier energy partnership, domestic encourage and incentivize the domestic gas exploration and production to reduce dependence on import. Research and development. Invest in research development to advance technology related to natural gas extraction, production and utilization. One nation, one gas grid. Natural gas based energy can be produced and distributed through the entire country or on the single gas system. Thank you.